right. Okay, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Yanet Garcia, and I am the director of the STEM Squared program, which is located, it's a community college, Cypress College, located in Orange County in the state of California. And I just want to say it's so awesome to see so many beautiful faces here today. And we hope that you've gained a wealth of information from everything that's gone on today, from hearing from our special guest speaker, Dr. Farisa Morales, and the networking session and all the workshops, hearing from the amazing speakers. And without further ado, I would like to bring on my colleague, Dr. Franco, who's going to be introducing our panelists for today. Dr. Franco?
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I think it's afternoon everywhere else in the US, not just here in New York. I want to say thank you for being with us, for those of you who just joined us, as well as for those who started with us in the morning hours. It is my pleasure to introduce the members of our panel today. I just want to make sure and double check, was Jody finally able to join? Is Jody here? Okay, so I'm going to start with the other introductions. So please help me welcome Gabrielle Balistretti. She's a transfer student from Rosemont and Cuyamaca Community College in San Diego, California. She's currently studying chemistry at the University of California in San Diego, planning to graduate next year. She has conducted research in early stages of Alzheimer's detection, as well as in silicon nanotechnology. In her free time, Gabrielle loves baking, cooking, hiking, and rock climbing. Gabrielle will be presenting her research in the upcoming 2020 SACNAS National Conference. Dr. Jason Miranda. Dr. Miranda started his path to scientific leadership at Glendale Community College in Glendale, Arizona. He's now a principal scientist at Galvani Bioelectronics, which is a company based near London, or a research institution near London in the UK. A PhD in neuroscience prepared him for a career of scientific discovery and therapy development in sensory neuroscience, neuroregeneration, endocrinology, and bioelectronic medical devices. Family, basketball, and mountain biking keep him busy when he's not working with his scientific team. And next, it is my pleasure also to introduce Johnny Guzman. He is from Southern California and attended Cerritos Community College for 2 years before transferring to California State in Long Beach, where he studied mathematics. In 2005, he received his PhD in applied mathematics at Cornell University. He was an NSF postdoc at the University of Minnesota before joining the applied math faculty at Brown University, where he currently works. His area of expertise is numerical analysis. In his free time, he enjoys spending time with his family and friends and biking on numerous bike paths in Rhode Island. So please, everybody, help me welcome our wonderful team in the panel. And if you can just, in the chat as we start, send your greetings and tell us where you are from, that will be great, so that our panelists also get a sense of who the members of the audience are. Okay. So the structure of the panel goes as follows. We're going to spend a little bit of time listening to the panelists introduce themselves. They each will take about 5 minutes talking about their own journeys. And then after that, we will follow with the Q&A. So without further ado, and thank you for all the students who are just sending their greetings to the chat. Without further ado, I'm going to give the floor to Gabriela. Would you like to be first?
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I hope you're enjoying SACNAS Community College Day. My name is Gabrielle, and I'm a transfer student from Grossmont and Cuyamaca Community College. Currently, I'm an undergraduate studying chemistry at the University of California, San Diego. So to start off, I just would like to talk a little bit about myself. And for one, I have a passion for chemistry, and my favorite hobbies are baking, playing volleyball, hiking, and doing yoga. These activities are very important to me because they keep me balanced mentally and physically, especially with an educational path in STEM. A couple of years ago, I was attending community college, and one of my hardest challenges was deciding if I wanted to go into science. This was a tough decision for me because I didn't know what I wanted to major in. However, I knew that science was a gateway to the endless opportunities where I can apply my knowledge and skills to tackle daily challenges. With this mindset, I dove straight into my STEM classes, and I found that chemistry was more interesting than I thought. Chemistry answered some of my most important everyday questions, which I found very relatable. For example, I've been baking bread, sourdough bread, for a couple years now. And something I always wondered was what made my bread taste so good? And one of the reasons in terms of chemistry is the Maillard reaction. The Maillard reaction browns and develops deep flavors in the crust and makes my bread taste so good. I first learned about this reaction in my chemistry class, and of course, using incredible sites on Google to learn more. Becoming a scientist, or in my case, a chemist, was also a challenge. But when I took a step back, I realized how important and how much I enjoyed learning about chemistry and how applicable it is to my daily life. I've always loved helping others, from volunteering at my local church to becoming a peer mentor for incoming community college students. I've always known that I wanted to do something to give back to my community. As a scientist, I can help solve some of the world's most complex issues through research or even by teaching others to become great scientists. And knowing that I want to give back is what has driven me to want a career as a chemist. The most important piece of advice I can give to any current community college student in STEM is to use your resources and make connections. My main resource at community college was the tutoring center. The tutoring center provided me with free tutoring that worked around my busy schedule and helped me to build confidence in my classes for success. My connections with professors were just as important because it led to research opportunities and internships that were a little more difficult to find. In one of my physics classes, I asked the professor if there were any research opportunities to see where my interests lie in STEM. The professor was very supportive and told me about the Boyce Astro Foundation that funded student research in astronomy. That opportunity was a great experience to learn about something I did not know much about. That opportunity also provided me with a great letter of reference and something to brag about on my resume. I know sometimes it can be intimidating to talk to professors, but they are always willing to help, and they can really open up some doors for you. Overall, going into community college, I wish I knew this advice early on because it helped me to develop a good foundation in research and in chemistry. In academia, having a good foundation in your major and knowing who you are is very important for success. I am a proud Mexican American, and I have been provided with numerous opportunities in STEM because I am a minority and I am willing to work hard in my classes. SACNAS is a great example where minorities are provided many opportunities in STEM to achieve their educational goals and be prepared for a career. As a female Latina in STEM, I want to show others that it is possible to follow your academic dreams and that you can achieve anything you put your mind to. Now, in my current studies at UCSD, I have used my connections with professors to secure 2 lab positions. In my organic chemistry lab, I am researching early stage detection of Alzheimer's disease. And in my inorganic chemistry lab, I am researching drug delivery via silicone nanotechnology. This research experience will not only prepare me for graduate school, but it will also help me figure out specifically what I want to do in chemistry. In the future, I hope to obtain my PhD in chemistry and have my own lab to contribute research that will tackle daily challenges. Thank you for listening and taking the time to learn about me and my experience at community college.
Thank you, Gabrielle. That was wonderful. Wow. Okay, so let me introduce our next panelist, who is then, going to spend some time talking about his journey. Let's invite now Professor Johnny Guzman. Johnny?
Hi, can you hear me, Mercedes?
Yes, I can.
Okay,
I
great.
hope everybody else does. How are you?
Good,
Welcome.
good. Thank you. So maybe people will not know this, but me and Mercedes Franco, the moderator, we overlapped in graduate school for a couple of years, maybe for many years actually at Cornell University. So it's great. Always we always bump into each other, especially at the SACNAS conference, right, Mercedes? I think the one in
Correct,
Washington.
yeah.
I met our kids went trick-or-treating together.
Yes, in Washington. The SACNAS conference
right.
was held in Washington, D.C.
Washington, D.C., that's right. And
That was
our
great.
spouses took our kids to see some monument. I forget what it was. So it's great to see. So you, everyone here in this meeting, you'll see that you'll build long life friendships. And Mercedes is just one of my friends that I have met through the SACNAS community. So let me say a little bit about myself. I was born in Southern California, Mexican-American, and raised in Long Beach, California. And I went to Cerritos Community College. The reason being, I had some advice from mentors in high school, and they recommended that a community college was sort of the right path. And I really think that it was the correct path for me for many reasons. I don't want to go into exactly what are the reasons, but it just felt right. The faculty that I met there were very nourishing, very helpful, they always had open doors, at least many of them that I talked to. And it just was the right level for me, I think, at the time. And they I had this specialized attention that I think I wouldn't have received in other places. So I was very blessed to have that experience. And then from there I went to Cal State Long Beach. I transferred after 2 years. And when I was in community college, the faculty there recommended that I do summer programs. I did one sort of bridge program in the summer that was great. And so everything just sort of fit very well for me. And then I went to Cal State Long Beach, and then it just continued. It was sort of the natural progression of things. And again, I had very, very great professors that I still email today. And then I also did a lot of summer programs and research opportunities that were open. And by the way, they're open to many people, to all of us. So you should take advantage of them. I definitely did. And I think if I didn't take advantage of them, I probably wouldn't have got into some opportunities later in life that I've had. And then I went to Cornell Community College. That's where I met Mercedes. And it was awesome. It was a great experience. It was very tough. That was probably the most difficult transition for me in my entire career, going from undergraduate to graduate school. But it was tough, but it's doable. And I always knew it was doable. And I think a lot of us know it's doable. And there I met a lot of great friends and I was part of a great network of supportive people. And it was just a great experience. And then I became a professor at Brown, which it's amazing. I never dreamt of this. And it's been great. It's also difficult, but I've grown tremendously, as you can imagine, since my first days at Cerritos Community College. And anyone can do it. It's just, when I remember I was at Cerritos, I would say, oh, well, if I become a high school teacher, that would be great. It'd be amazing. And then, now I'm a professor at Brown, but it's just part of, you're just riding this wave and you can do it. I mean, now I don't even think about it. I feel like anyone can do it if you just really take the right steps. And I know I'm not unique. There's many people that I've seen do the same thing and in going to industry and going to these things. And it's just really, being persistent and doing the right things. I want to say a few things to show that I'm not unique. There's 2 Latino professors that have been served as great mentors to me and to many others. Maybe people haven't heard of them. One of them is Richard Tapia, and the other one he's a professor at Rice University. And the other one is Rodrigo Bañuelos, a professor at Purdue University. And they both go to SACNAS regularly. So when we go back in person, you'll probably meet them, you'll probably see them. They also both went to community college in California. I forget which ones they went, but I know that they went to community colleges. And then they transferred to one of the UC systems, I believe, or Cal States. And then now they've had amazing careers. And these are just two other examples. There's numerous examples, and they're the top in their field. So it's very, just to show that, this is not unique and that anyone can do it. And I just, to say a little bit more about, how I got interested in math and so on, I just sort of, I did pretty well, I guess. Since I was doing well in courses and in different problems that came up in physics, and so I did well, and that I guess was motivating. And I just enjoyed always the challenges that I had of solving a problem, thinking about a problem for hours, for days, in fact. Even when I was in Cerritos Community College, when I would drive back home after work or so on, it was amazing. So it's just kind of a cool challenge. It's been a lot of fun, and maybe I can show people my room, where you'll see papers everywhere where I write math ideas. This is what I do for a living. It's everywhere in my office, and my kids kind of don't like the fact that I just leave my paper trail everywhere. So I'll stop there. Thanks, Mercedes.
Thank you, Johnny. That was wonderful. Next, I would like to invite Jody Simpson, she was having trouble connecting, but she's now with us. And Jody, if you will introduce yourself as well, our third panelist of the four.
Thank you so much. So I was joining from my work computer, which is proprietary. So Zoom is not allowed on it. So I had to go and get my personal computer to join this call from. So that's where the difficulty was. But I am happy to be here. My name is Jody Simpson. I was born and raised in Jamaica, and I moved to the States around 2013, and I moved at a very interesting time because after high school in Jamaica, there is this thing that's called sixth form. So sixth form is kind of like community college, but less advanced. So I joined when I was about a semester to finishing up sixth form. So technically I was not a high school student, but I didn't have enough qualifications to be a college student. So when I moved to the States, my family wanted to send me to a high school. And then I went to the high school. They were just like, nope, you're way too advanced for high school. So I would recommend that you stay here for about a year, like stay in the state for about a year. Then you'll be eligible for financial aid, and then you'll be able to go to a community college. And so I did exactly that. I worked for a year, and then after the year was up, I enrolled in a community college. And I am the type of person, I love school. I've always loved school, and so I was excited to start. As soon as I enrolled, I started reaching out to professors. I started getting involved in different initiatives, such as the programming club, Women in Tech, especially Women in Tech, because I went to an all-girls high school in Jamaica. So Women in Tech, it didn't seem like a problem to me because it was always something I was exposed to. I was in classes all the time with girls, and Jamaica is a predominantly Black country. So I was in rooms with Black girls. So it didn't feel weird to me to see other people in tech until I moved and started going to college. And then I realized that, oh, there's not a lot of us here. And then I started getting involved in Women in Tech initiatives. I started the first chapter at BMCC while I was there. I got involved in research. Research is something that propelled me into a lot of other opportunities. I worked with a professor who became the chair of the CS department, and I worked with this organization called LSAM. I'm actually very close with the director of the program. And that opportunity led me to Brazil, where I spent a summer doing research as well with the same organization. And I did research for about a year and a half, including that summer I spent in Brazil. Throughout my 2 years at BMCC, I think I did 4 years worth of work, because I was just so excited for the opportunity to actually go to school. I started doing a lot of different things. There was this program called Streetwise Partners. So I wasn't necessarily I wouldn't consider myself to be professional at the time that I started coming to college. I just know that I was ambitious, but going into Streetwise, they pair you with mentors and you get to be really exposed to the corporate world. And I think I needed that context because I did that in the first spring of attending community college, and it shaped my view on how to see corporate and how to see if I wanted to go into the job force. And then I was very involved in tech programs. So I was a computer science major for all of community college. And after I moved on, I was still a computer science major. I did summer programs. I did internships that came from connections I made over summer programs that were specific for community college students. And I got a scholarship that was very specific to community college students to finish up at NYU. And I finished up at NYU last year. And then during that time, I also did a whole bunch of stuff, but the thing that I'm most proud of is this organization called CS for Social Good at NYU, which pairs capable NYU students with nonprofits around New York City to help build out their tech infrastructure. And over that period of time, I also did more tech internships, and then Google reached out to me in about November of 2018 to start just recruit me for a role that it's kind of a mashup between a software engineer and a product manager or project manager. And I interviewed for the role, and so right out of college, I started at Google, and now I'm still there as a solutions engineer. So that's me in a nutshell. What brought me into tech? I think it's just one, I used to love law, and I always wanted to be a lawyer until I started doing it in sixth form. And I realized that law is not for me. Legalese is very hard to understand, at least for me. And so I was just like, what's the next best thing I'm good at? And computer science was one of those things. So I just chose it and I went with it, and I've loved it ever since.
Thank you, Jody. That was wonderful. So let's now prepare for the fourth panelist and the fourth introduction. And then after that, as I indicated earlier, we will continue into a Q&A session. So Jason is our fourth speaker. Welcome, and please tell us about yourself.
Yeah, thank you. I'm dialing in from Cambridge, UK. So I'm a long way from home, but I've been here for 11 years, so I don't really know where home is now. But I just wanted to use my 5 minutes to share about kind of how I learned to view myself through my experiences as a student and a professional scientist. So anyone can, look at my LinkedIn profile, look me up on there, and you can see kind of the steps I took along the way, the different organizations I've been part of and things, including SACNAS. I was on the board of directors as a graduate student. But what I wanted to share with you right now is kind of that throughout this whole process, I often found myself, or sometimes put myself in positions where I felt like an outsider. And along the way, I learned that it turns out that's actually can be a really good thing. So it kind of starts way back in high school, where they bust all of the people from my neighborhood into a shiny new high school in a relatively wealthy neighborhood. And on the first day of school, I looked around in my honors English class, and I realized I was the only one from my neighborhood in that class. And that was an uncomfortable situation at the time. I didn't know really what to do. I didn't play golf or tennis or have a sailing boat for, on the week, hanging out on the weekends on the lake and stuff. So I didn't really know how to connect to my classmates at first. And at the time, it was uncomfortable, but I didn't realize though that that's where I was learning a very valuable skill, and that was to listen to different kinds of people and learn about new people and connect with them. And along the way, I've also put myself in these kind of situations. So at community college, Glendale Community College in Glendale, Arizona, where I started out. I took an advanced calculus class. I was the only biology major in there, and there were times when I thought those future mathematicians were going to eat me alive. Like, I'm not really sure how I made it through all that stuff, but I got through, and I made some connections there. And I also, as a postdoc at Emory University in Atlanta, I joined a computational biology lab where I was really the only trained biologist. Everyone else was an engineer or a physicist. And so, I brought my own kind of connections there. That's really kind of where I learned to kind of connect in a scientific level and make new connections. And it goes all the way through to me moving my family out here to the UK from the US, where I've been the only American on these teams. There's 40 or 50 people, and I'm the only American here, so I bring something special there. And it wasn't until recently, actually, that I started to look back and realize that in most of these situations, I went from feeling like an outsider to actually being a bridge between communities. So I actually brought something new to these groups, and so now I can say that I'm a bridge between academic research and industrial research. I'm a bridge between people who started out at a community college and people who started out at Harvard. I'm a bridge between physiology and engineering, and so I realized that being an outsider in these groups in the right environment can actually be kind of a superpower. Like, I brought something. I made connections. I brought groups together. There's a particular example in my current job where there were two groups that didn't like each other, but they had to work together. And someone stood up and said, "Let's have Jason take care of that." And I brought people together, and I was able to use that superpower that I learned starting from back in high school. So I just encourage anyone that feels different in some way, and we all feel different in certain situations, to really learn from that and think of it as a power and harness that to have your impact. So that's me and my journey in a nutshell, and I'm looking forward to the conversation we're about to have over the next hour or so. Thank you.
Mercedes, you're muted.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so I was just saying that we're ready for the next segment of our panel, which is the Q&A. And we're going to start with some questions that we have prepared in advance, but we're welcoming student questions through the chat. Is this correct? So Katerina will fill me some of those questions. Now, it's very interesting because we first wanted to know how each one of you got into the field that you are today, but you kind of answered that question during your presentations. So I'm just gonna change that first question into something else. We are thinking about what is the way in which you, I guess, bring your identity and your true self into the work that you do. But I want to add to that something about how entering a STEM discipline when you were young, whether it was since high school or at the college level that you started to get into these fields and realizing that your call was there. I want to know, what was the reaction from the family? Because very often people from different cultures give a lot of value or different value to family expectations. And I want to know, what were the family expectations, and overall, how do you bring your true self and how do you bring your identity into your professional lives or academic lives? And we can go in, maybe we can go in the same order in which the introductions were laid out. So Gabrielle.
I guess the first thing I want to say is, I guess from high school to community college and university, I haven't had many Latina professors, especially in STEM. I actually haven't had a single Latina professor at my university level, which is a little, or not only Latina, just any Latin professor. I haven't had one. So it's kind of inspiring for me to really want to be a professor because I want to make this change. I want to change this demographic. I want it to be easier for students to see themselves in these positions. I've had one professor, Professor Contreras. She's currently at UC San Diego. Previously, she was at the University of Washington. And she's the one who really inspired me to just go for it. Just go for getting to this position. I really want to be able to show that it's attainable. It's not just attainable for others, but also for people specifically in STEM. It is tough because there are so many barriers put in front of women, but you just got to push through it. You got to show that you can work just as hard. You are just as good as any other peer that's around you. So that's what has driven me to work so hard in science, or to be able to attain a professional position as a professor. Eventually, hopefully I could get there.
Thank you, Johnny.
Yeah, so I think about, let's see, maybe I'll address the thing about the family, what do they value, and how did that affect me, and so on. I believe, ultimately what my family wanted was that I was happy with what I did. My mom always told me that, like, especially when I was stressed, you know how academic careers can be very stressful at times, like any other career. And they did value, of course they were very proud of me, and that motivated me a lot. I think I was just sort of driven by what Gabriel was mentioning about the fact that there weren't people that looked like me, that had had the same cultural roots that I did, in academia or in other places that I also worked in national labs and so on. And that was sort of a challenge. I was like, why not? Why can't we represent? Like, is there, like, can I not do it? I remember I used to ask myself, why isn't there more people that look like me? And it was just sort of a challenge, and it was a fun challenge, actually. So I made it into, like, I'm going to prove everyone that I could do it. And that was sort of what motivated me. And it was good. And then now I can see, this is increasing, and hopefully it starts increasing. Not as much as one would hope, but I'm still hopeful that it would increase a lot more. Yep.
Thank you, Johnny. Jody?
So on the bit about family, I am going to go out on a limb here and be a little bit vulnerable, because this is a group and I think that could benefit from hearing something like this. So my family does not understand anything I do. So anything relating to computers and etc., they understand nothing. But even more than that, my family doesn't understand any of my school process. Anything I had to do to go to community college, it's solely on me. So in terms of, I don't have any student loans, thankfully. My family, if you ask them, they wouldn't probably know that, because they don't know how I managed to go to community college, let alone to go to NYU, let alone to be here at Google working. And all of that is to say that you might not have the support in places that you probably need it, such as in your family, or even in, people who are supposed to care about you. But if you particularly have it within you to say that, yes, school is something that I love to do, XYZ is something that I love to do, and you pursue it in those, with the same intensity as you like those things, it counts. So on the family bit, they understand that I am okay and they understand that I'm well. But in terms of getting from point A to point B, that's not as clear. On the point about what drives me and how I bring my identity to work, so I am very I am very passionate about taking opportunities back to Jamaica because I grew up in a very different Jamaica than the Jamaica I am experiencing now. Because one, I am not in the same position as I was when I left, and that affords you opportunities, it affords you to be in rooms. And I am passionate about technology. Technology can literally change lives, and I really want to bring that back to Jamaicans who have and who are experiencing the Jamaica that I knew from when I was growing up. So that drives me a lot, and it guides a lot of my conversation. It guides a lot of what I choose to do with my free time in terms of volunteering, in terms of giving back. So yeah.
Thank you, Jody. Jason, you want to add to this?
Yeah, so I think in terms of bringing myself to my work, I think again this whole thing about me kind of identifying myself as a bridge in these situations. When I feel uncomfortable, when I feel out of place, that's where I know now that I can do my best work, and it also allows me to then kind of follow my values and follow my my cultural beliefs and these sort of things, to kind of just follow those instincts that have developed over the years or whatever. I guess they're not instincts, but yeah, I mean the things I've learned over the years. And so I think that for me, kind of just finding something that's centered maybe outside of science that I define myself, and then kind of use that to kind of drive my work, especially when I'm feeling uncomfortable. That's kind of how I've approached things. And it's worked for me so far. In terms of the family thing, it's kind of funny because when I started my PhD work, I was studying auditory processing in frogs, and so I'd be talking to the family, and they'd be like, "Wait, so you're gonna get a PhD? We're gonna have a PhD in the family, and it's gonna be in frog brains? Like, what? What's the point of that? They think like, why didn't you become a lawyer or a doctor? Like do something useful." Like there was a little bit of that. And so I obviously had to get better about explaining the impact of the things that we were studying and things like that. So there was a bit of an expectation that if I was going to be going into this academic route, that it would be something tangible that was going to help society. And so there are some challenges there because I was pursuing what I was interested in, which is kind of, in the long term, I think the best thing, because this is not easy stuff to do. So you want to follow what you're really, really passionate about. And that doesn't always make sense to everybody, but yeah, that was, it challenged me to get better about explaining what I do.
Thank you, Jason, and thank you to everybody. So I'm reflecting about some of the things you have already shared. And I'll be honest, like from our perspective, and I wonder if the students in the audience feel the same way, it comes across as your experiences were very straightforward, like one thing led to the next and to the next, and you were growing academically, professionally, doors were opening. So now I want you to look back and try to find a time in this trajectory where maybe things could have gotten in a different direction. Maybe you made the right choice, or somebody was there to guide you in the right direction, but it could have gotten wrong. So if you can tell us, one particular time in your trajectory where that could have happened, and also present that to the students in the audience as in the form of advice, like for other students who might find themselves in that position, that is an either or they have multiple and competing advice, or any other point that could be difficult and that could be a life-changing, I guess, decision or moment. So tell us about that moment for you, and also what advice you will give to students. And we can start with you, Jason. I see you nodding, so you can be the first, and then we can reverse the order.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's a great question, because it's life is messy, and I've always just made sure that I kept my mind open to opportunities. And so actually, when I was I did a postdoctoral fellowship at Emory University. It's an elective fellowship where you teach at like a small liberal arts college. and you do your research. And I really was gearing up to become, I wanted to be a professor at a small liberal arts school. That was like my goal. But you know, I was always keeping open ideas for opportunities. And one time someone sent me a job ad for industry that was completely wrong for what I do. It wasn't even close. But that day it got me looking for, oh, well, maybe there's something out there for me. I didn't think that people doing electrophysiology really worked in industry. And that night I found this job that perfectly described exactly what I do in England. And I thought, whoa, that's crazy. You know, I'm gonna first seek out the advisors that can help me put together an application, and then just go for it and see what happens. And here I am, you know, 11 years later, living in England and working in industry, completely doing very different thing than what I had envisioned for myself. But just, you know, keeping flexible and following what, you know, your interests are, and maybe being a bit adventurous can help you kind of adjust to when things don't go as expected, because you might not get the grant that you applied for, and you might have to do something different along the way. But I think that being flexible is very helpful.
Thank you. That is right on target. Jody, do you have something similar to share, a moment or something that, you know, you could have gone in a different direction, and what advice would you give to students?
Not necessarily. I think in terms of opportunities, maybe, but I have always wanted to work at Google. I had other opportunities to work at other places. So when I got it, it was fairly simple to make that decision. But I had a plan B. So if Google didn't work out, I knew the next best place I was going to work. And I also had a plan C. So if that place didn't work out, I also knew where else I was going to work. So I think, yes, being flexible, as Jason mentioned, having backup plan is also something, and also leaning into opportunities. If you have the opportunity to, you know, experience something before the moment of truth comes where you have to decide to be in a particular industry, I would encourage you to take those opportunities. Especially when you're in college, it's a perfect time to lean in and experience everything. So by the time you're supposed to leave, you have kind of like an idea, because you've experienced so many things of where you want to go and what plan B would look like.
This is very, very great advice, very practical advice. And Johnny, would you like to be next?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I can share a few stories that I think could have affected me, and I could have gone in a different direction. So I think overwhelmingly, like I said before, the faculty that I met at the community college were very supportive, and they were great, gave me great advice. And I think if they were not there, I wouldn't have sought different opportunities. There was one case where it was a negative experience, and there was another experience later on when I was a graduate student that I wanted to share. So in the case of the community college, I had this professor. His professor is Dr. Wright, and he taught me Fortran, writing this. It's an ancient, it's now an ancient computer code language, and Calculus 3. And I saw this flyer in the hall saying, you know, math graduate students apply for this program in I forget what university, some university in California, I think University of San Francisco or something like that. And I went to Dr. Wright. I had 2 classes with him. I did very well. And I said, can you write a letter of recommendation for me? And then he thought about it. I walked with him to his office, and he says, are you sure this is the right program for you? Are you sure you're up for this? Something along those lines. And I was taken aback, because I thought I was an excellent student. I had straight A's. I did very well, and so on. And, you know, I respect this person. And he was actually a very good professor, very nice. I really liked him. But for some reason, he thought that something told him that I wasn't meant to go to this summer program. And, you know, it was, you know, it took a really bad effect on me. I thought about it. I reflected on this. And, you know, I think part of the reason is I used to be very silly. I used to crack jokes in class and had a lot of friends. And I think maybe he interpreted that as me not being serious. But I was very serious, of course. So that happened, and things like this, these things happen all the time. And he actually came back like a week later and asked me, "Hey, Johnny, I thought about this, and yes, I'll write a letter for you," and blah blah blah. I think he reflected on this, but that was his first. That's his first take, and then, but I didn't allow that to. I actually didn't apply to that program, and maybe I didn't apply because he said that. But then I applied to future very similar programs, so it didn't allow things like that to stop me. The other experience that I had was in my first year as a graduate student. I worked at Los Alamos National Laboratory where they built the atomic bomb, right? And it was a great experience, but I did terrible. I was in over my head, and it was a summer program, and I was working with, I forgot her name. She was great, but the things that she wanted me to do, I just couldn't do. And I remember I had these ideas. Can I do anything? I'll wash your car. I'll mow your lawn. I felt worthless, and I felt that I was getting paid a lot of money, and I felt like I just don't deserve to be here, and it was really tough. But then I talked to friends, I talked to professors about this, and they just told me, it wasn't the right time to go to do that, to have that experience. It wasn't the right time. Like, I bet you if you prepared more and you would have gone the year after, you would have been ready for this. And I didn't allow that to stop me from reaching my goals. And it took, I could imagine that would affect people and say, I'm just not good enough. I can't do it. Maybe this is not right for me. But you have to be persistent. And again, I always relied on people to talk to. I like to talk about my emotions. I talk to people, and especially mentors, and they say, well, I went through something similar this time, but people normally don't like to share these things. But I built these sort of relationships where people would share these things, and they were encouraging. So I wanted to show that.
That's great. Thank you, Johnny. And then Gabrielle, you want to add?
Yes, I guess I would say I have a similar experience to Johnny with being told some, I guess, more of, you sure you want to go that path? You sure you want to do this? It's kind of tough. Like, why would you want to do that? So that's kind of what put me in a position, if I'm thinking like way back before I decided on chemistry, I was afraid to choose chemistry as my major. I was afraid to go down this route because I was told by not only family members, but also maybe some faculty at schools, it's a tough one. You got to really dedicate yourself. You sure you can handle it? It's more of that questioning that resonates, and you're like, you think to yourself, I guess, when you have the time, and you're like, can I really do this? And something I wish I would have had prior to all of this, deciding on a major, was I can do it. I can have that outlook of seeing myself as a scientist. I can be able to see myself going into chemistry because I can do it. I shouldn't have listened to the people around me kind of, I guess, push me around and be like, no, try going for this, try going for that. I needed to have the confidence at the time to realize I can decide on what I wanted to do. And like Johnny said, you got to be persistent. You got to stick with it. You have to tell yourself you are going to get through this. Because there's going to be some times where you're going to take classes and it might surprise you. You might not be good at this one class, but it's part of the larger goal. It's just a little piece that's going to get you to your main goal. It's going to get you to do so well in what you want to do. So it's kind of hard because there are many times where I wanted to give up or just try to find, or in my opinion, an easier major where, okay, not all majors are easy, but just try to find an easier path. But I'm happy I stuck with chemistry. I'm happy I gained that confidence, maybe slightly later, but I needed just that confidence. And I can't be afraid, or at least to anyone, you can't be afraid to go for what you want, or else it just makes that path so much more difficult. But something to add on that I wish I could do more, or I wish I did more of, and maybe to address a question in the chat, was research and internship experience. So I spent 3 years at community college. I worked my way through school. At one point I had 3 jobs and I was trying to balance a full time schedule, which crazy, but at the same time, I was like, I need research. So I threw that into the mix and I realized, okay, who do I go to? And that's the main question at community college. Who do you go to gain experience? And like Johnny said, you talk to professors. You talk to the ones who's, like for me specifically, my chemistry professors. I talk to them, what's available to me? And something as simple as asking, are there any summer opportunities? Are there any internships? Is there anything available to me that you know of? Or even talking to the professor can refer you to another person that has even more connections, which is really important. So making those connections initially, or at least at community college, are very beneficial for research experience. And something I did notice that they don't really tell you, when you transfer to a university, you typically have 2 years of university experience before you graduate. So it's a little difficult to gain research experience in 2 years versus your typical university student who has 4. So you're cramming that 4-year experience into 2, which is a little difficult. So I recommend looking at when you're at community college for as many research experiences as possible, because they might even be at your local university. You might even look up a few professors on the university's page and it says, oh, look, they have a summer program. And that's actually something I did this summer. I participated in a summer school for silicone nanotechnology. This summer school, I didn't know, it's open to almost everyone and anyone all over the world. Graduate students, professors from all over the world, community college students, high school students. It's awesome because it's something I didn't know about until I started to talk to more professors and they talked to more people and I made more connections.
Thank you. Yes, I have the mic on. Thank you. This has been great, great, great. And we have some very good questions also coming through the chat. I'm gonna just pick questions, hope to be able to address some of the curiosity that our audience has. Somebody brought up the following issue. All of you seem to have really moved around, like as you change institutions or as you make progress in your chosen fields of work or areas of work. So they would like to hear a little bit more about that. How difficult it is to make that jump and leave your hometown, your state, and even your country. How do you balance perhaps your educational needs and the pursuit of your goals with things like family demands? It's very common for community college students to have children or to be caring for elder parents or relatives. There are so many ties that they have with the local community. So what would you say to these students, but also how was this experience for you as you move around and were just in the pursuit of your goals? And let's start with Jason again, and then we'll work backwards as before.
Yes, I could definitely speak to moving my family away from moving away from my family to the UK, and I have family. I have 2 children and a wife and everything, and it is painful. There's a lot of times when it's painful to be away, and so I'm on WhatsApp all the time with people, just constantly. Every free moment I have, I'm keeping in touch with people. In terms of my identity as well, being out here, I had to really step up my home cooked Mexican food game because you just can't get it out here. And so that was a new project for me. So now Sunday afternoons or something, I got the music going, and I'm getting trying something new. So I mean that's good because I can't go to my grandma's house anymore or down the street to pick up something good. But that just kind of helps me feel a home feeling. But I mean, it is difficult, and there's a sacrifice to it. And we kind of viewed it as, we're providing our children this kind of new experience. They're going to be an international children because they're American and they're British. They have British accents now, which is bizarre. But you know, it was just something we wanted to invest in them. We kind of looked at it that way, at least. I mean, again, it's the flexibility of how you look at things sometimes, but obviously, you know, parents are getting older, and it's only going to get really hard in the next, you know, 5 to 10 years, I think, when we have to deal with a lot of health issues and things coming up. And yeah, maybe I can come back in 10 years and tell you how that works out. But.
Okay, thank you. And then if we're working backwards, that will be Jody next.
I would say I've had extensive experience here. Fortunately, most of my family lives in New York. Most of them moved around the same time I moved. So my mother is here, sister is here, grandmother is here, aunts are here, uncles are here. I do have family in Jamaica, but I go back every year, so it's not as bad. And then for the summer that I spent in Brazil, I loved it personally. So there weren't any real cons about being in Brazil, except that I didn't stay there longer. I might not be the best person to answer this question.
No, but this was good and helpful. Johnny, do you wanna share with us if you have faced any difficult decisions in terms of moving?
I do want to sort of, I guess, I mean, I've been asked this question many times of people considering they got offers, say, to graduate school or to another university in a different state or a different country. And my advice always is keep an open mind. I know it's very tough, and I sympathize, and I think I've had it much easier than a lot of people because I wasn't, when I did a lot of my moving, I was single, dating my wife now. Didn't have kids and so on, and I can see it's very difficult. But I've seen others that have, like Jason, that have family, and they move their kids or parents, or dealing with health issues. And I think what I hear a lot from students is like, oh, I'm not sure if I'm going to like it down there. I'm not sure if this is going to be right for me. And then they go there, they live there for 2 years. And then I've seen a lot of cases where they don't want to leave. Like, for example, me and my wife have these friends that moved to Wisconsin. They're both from Puerto Rico. They moved to Wisconsin, and they've always complained about how they wanted to leave. And now they actually got divorced and they don't want to leave. They both independently want to stay in Wisconsin, which we find it very funny. And you've seen a lot of cases like this. So just keep an open mind. I know it's going to be tough, but look into different options. And because there might be a great opportunity that's not where you live. But saying that, I think one of the things that that is tough is like not what a lot of us were talking about is how can we give back to our community without living, say, in our community. And that is tough. I wish I could go and give back. But then I live here in Rhode Island, and there's a big Caribbean community, African-American community that I'm a part of a lot of different things, Cambodian community that it's great. And I get involved and I'm helping in different ways, although it's not the community that I identified with and so on. So it's different. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I think I'm missing one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, something a little difficult is you do have to make sacrifices when it comes to choosing your career path, and I guess specifically your educational path in STEM. It's really tough because sometimes it does take a strain on family relations, or you miss out on big family events, but those are the sacrifices you have to make when you're going for what you want. Something I recommend is surrounding yourself as much as possible with supportive people, becoming involved in different organizations or different groups that can support you to get to your goal. Because it's really about the mindset that's going to take you there. If you're positive the whole way, it'll help you, and it'll help you so far that you'll be able to achieve what you want. So it really is having a positive outlook and surrounding yourself with people that really care about you and really want to see you succeed.
Okay, thank you. We have actually reached the end of the time given to us. So I'm going to ask you to be very brief as you give one last piece of advice, and it's going to be very specific and hopefully brief. Just based on your own discipline, tell the audience where they can go if they want to look for opportunities, either for research or internship in your discipline. So in the mathematical sciences, in the biotechnology, broader biology field, in chemistry. And assuming there will be like some key organizations that probably just go to this website, you're gonna find everything there. That type of advice, something quick and practical to give to our audience as we close this wonderful panel. Who wants to jump in this case, just to keep it moving? Anybody who has anything ready? Yeah, go ahead.
So I mean, for my fields, you know, biology and bioengineering and things, NSF, NIH, they have resources. They fund a lot of these programs that are all over the country. So, you know, Google searches can help you kind of find the right web pages for your interests. And the last thing I'll say is that, you know, look me up on LinkedIn, and you can send me a message. And, you know, if anyone has any questions, you know, I'm always doing that. I run it. I actually founded an internship program at my company, and so I'm talking to students all the time and giving them advice and everything. I love doing that. So don't hesitate to contact me, and just let me know that you found me through this panel, and yeah, let's talk.
This is great. Thank you so much. Johnny, you want to be next? I saw you typing also in the chat and providing some links.
Yeah. I included, before I included a site for NSF RU site. So this is official RU sites. NSF funds a bunch of research experience for undergraduates, different disciplines. I had that.
Different disciplines, yep.
Yep, and the NSA, I believe, does too. And then I just included very quickly, I included SACNAS has the what is it called? Modern Math Workshop.
Yes.
And that's a great, it's part of the, it's inside the big conference, the annual SACNAS conference. It's like 2 days before. So I encourage everyone that's interested in math or just want to explore to apply to those opportunities. Good luck.
Thank you. Who wants to be next? And we'll make it quick.
I just want to add on, NSF and NIH are also, they're great resources for finding different opportunities. But also, I've mentioned it before, but look at your local universities and look at their newsletters for research experience and internships, because they're always posting. And actually, something surprising is the university students don't always take advantage of those opportunities. And sometimes they're even open to community colleges. So local universities are great. If you're like specifically for me, for chemistry, just go to chemistry faculty, click on the professor's page, and they usually have links to different programs. So generally, they're pretty much open to all students.
Thank you so much. I want to thank the panel, and I would like to invite the audience also. If you wanna send your last thoughts to the panelists, you have been wonderful. These have been very insightful. I appreciate it as a faculty member, and I'm sure the students appreciate it even more. Practical advice, inspiration, good role models. You have given us a lot today. Thank you so much. And with this, I just, want to give the floor to my collaborators and members of the task force to continue with the closing remarks. Thank you for joining us, all of you, Jody, Johnny, Jason, and Gabrielle.
Of course.
Oh, sorry, you're the next one. Yes, of course. Go ahead. Everybody, if you are into computer science, which we are, in my campus, we're going nuts with Google, by the way. Just, give us some like quick places people can go and check for opportunities.
No, I was going to echo what Gabrielle said. You have to be familiar with your faculty. If it's computer science, make sure you know the chair really, really well. Make sure you know the professors who are teaching you really, really well, because they usually have opportunities that they can share, but they only share with people who are working closely with them. And if you want to talk anything related to tech, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. My name is Jody Simpson, and we can take it from there.
Yes, thank you so much. And then I guess now this is the formal end of the panel. Thank you. People are asking for contact information. So you're gonna see the recordings of this session. You're gonna see the pictures, the names, the short bios of all of the panelists. So I think everybody's gonna have a chance to follow up with individual panelists as you see it fit in the near future. I know some of them are also giving their contact information through the chat. Thank you. You have been very generous, and I commend you for starting so young and becoming role models, I will say, at such an early age. It's very inspiring and motivating to others. Thanks.
Wow, I am just flowing with inspiration and just so proud, so proud to be part of this community, to be part of, you know, something so big, so amazing, so inspirational. What an amazing conference. And I want to thank all my colleagues who've worked tirelessly to make this happen. Everybody, you know, Sharon, Dr. Franco, Katerina, who's actually reached out to us to help her put this together. So Katerina, would you like to share some words? I don't think we could hear you yet, Katerina. Are you there?
Thank you. I was talking to myself. So what I was saying is, now if you had a great time today, the fun is not over. SACNAS has multiple events throughout the year and two are upcoming soon. So you can see on the screen our Insights to Success webinar series shares stories and advice from alumni from SACNAS Leadership Program. These webinars are an opportunity to hear from successful and diverse leaders in STEM. You can register online for free. We also have our national conference that we've been talking today throughout the day, happening virtually in October. The national conference is like Community College Day times 6. It is 6 days of sessions, keynote speakers, as well as a virtual expo hall, one-on-one mentoring, cultural celebrations, and so much more. So if you have not already, I hope you will register and we can reunite in community this October. So finally, SACNAS is a data-driven organization and your feedback is essential for us as we continue to improve our programs to better serve you. You'll be receiving an email with the short evaluation survey in a few days. Please take the time to fill it out for a chance to win another prize. Thank you all again for attending 2020 SACNAS Community College Day. I hope you all enjoyed your time and are living equipped and energized for your next steps in STEM. Have a wonderful rest of your day and we'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, thank you.
Bye. Bye, thank you for this.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Muchas gracias.
Lo mismo a ustedes.
Muchas gracias, que le pasen bien.
A ustedes por estar con nosotros. Los queremos ver de nuevo, ¿ah?
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.